Hello. Today's video is about the anxiety that accompanies complex post-traumatic stress disorder, or C-PTSD. Generalized anxiety and anxiety associated with C-PTSD are very different. Generalized anxiety involves things that might happen. What if I get fired? What if I get into a car accident? Things like this. Anxiety that stems from C-PTSD is nothing like that. For me, I seldom even know the cause of my anxiety. I just feel this crippling anxiety with no clue why. One aspect of this anxiety that's baffled me the most is sometimes when I wake up, either during the night or first thing in the morning, it just attacks. It comes in these awful waves where I feel like the anxiety is going to overwhelm me. And it passes, and it comes, and it passes. This usually goes on for a good half hour or so until eventually the anxiety just stays away until the next time. Now, for quite some time now, I've tried learning what this is about with no luck. That is until just recently. I wanted to share what I learned since I have no doubt many others live with this just obnoxious phenomenon as well. If you're one of the so-called lucky ones like me, I hope this helps you. After having survived trauma, in particular repeated trauma, your brain knows the worst case scenario. It's seen some really ugly things up close and personal, and quite frankly, it does not want to go back to that. Understandable, of course. The problem is the brain will do anything to avoid this, and it can take things just too far. The traumatized brain is in a constant state of fight, flight, or freeze. Sometimes the brain acts like it believes danger is about to happen at random, such as I mentioned what happens to me when I first wake up. Whether the danger is actually there or not, the brain thinks danger is lurking and triggers fight, flight, or freeze responses, and they just kick into overdrive. It's kind of like the car alarms when they first became popular in the late 1980s and early 90s. They were just so easily triggered that virtually nothing could make them sound. This is kind of like anxiety in a brain that's experienced repeated traumas. And good luck at this point convincing your panicked brain that danger is not in existence right now. It knows better because it's seen some pretty terrible things, and it will not be reassured that there is no danger because of that. When this type of anxiety kicks in, then you can handle it. I know it's hard, but it's possible. Remind yourself of what's happening. That this anxiety is only a symptom of the C-PTSD. It is not a sign that there is any actual danger. It's a symptom of a brain that's been broken due to experiencing horrific traumas. Nothing more. Maybe think of it kind of like a toothache. If you have a cavity in your tooth, it's going to hurt until you've seen the dentist. If you don't know you have a cavity, that pain will scare you. However, if you are aware of having that cavity, the pain will still hurt, of course, but at least you won't be scared because you know exactly why you have the pain. When you know what's happening, it really can make it much easier to cope with a very difficult situation. Try to understand why the anxiety is bad. You may not be able to figure that out, but hopefully you can. If you can, then you can calm the anxiety by figuring out a solution to the problem, or reassuring yourself that the problem really isn't all that bad. And never forget to pray. God understands us even better than we understand ourselves. When you don't understand why the anxiety is happening or how to calm it down, He will. Let Him help you. He'll be glad to do so. Thank you for watching my video.